this episode of Crochet Diaries, let me show you how to make these adorable daisy granny squares. Welcome everyone, let's learn how to stitch up these granny squares in 2 different colorways, and then in a follow-up tutorial I'll show you how we can join them all together to make a checkered shoulder bag. The materials I'll be using today include 4 different colored skeins of yarn, a muted yellow for the center of my daisy, an off-white color for the petals, and pink and red as the alternating squares around each daisy. These are pre-existing skeins I had at home, and I won't be using more than 50 grams of any one color. Feel free to choose whatever color you'd like for your own design. A 3mm crochet hook, and scissors, darning needle, and optionally stitch markers and measuring tape. Let's get started. I'm going to begin by making the center of the daisy with my yellow colored yarn. This involves making a magic ring. With the tail end of my yarn in my palm, I'll wrap the yarn over my middle and forefinger, hook onto the top left strand of yarn, pull up, and from the same top left strand, I'll yarn over to chain 1 and follow that up with a chain 2. By pulling on the tail end of my yarn, you'll see that I can cinch my ring closed. My chain 2 counted as 1 double crochet, so I'll work 7 more double crochet to total 8 double crochet stitches in my ring. Once I've got my 8, I'll pull on my tail end to cinch up my ring. Now I'll join my ring by slip stitching into the first double crochet I made. I won't slip into the chain 2. I'll follow that up with a chain 1 to secure things, tie off, and that's the center of my daisy completed. Next, I'll make the petals of my daisy with my off-white colored yarn. I'll join my new color to any of the 8 stitches made earlier with a standing double crochet. This involves making a slip knot, and then yarning over once. I'm securing that yarn over with my finger as I'm inserting my hook into my working stitch. You'll notice that I'm working this stitch with the back or the wrong side of the center of the daisy facing me. Make sure you do the same. Yarning over and pulling up another loop. With 3 loops on my hook now, I'll yarn over and pull through only 2 loops. Each petal will be made from a double crochet cluster stitch. This includes making 4 double crochet continuously in the same stitch without completing the last step of pulling through all loops until you reach 5 loops on your hook. So let me show you what I mean. Because my standing double crochet counted as 1, I'm going to repeat this 3 more times to make my cluster. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops to total 3 loops on my hook. Now I have 4 loops on my hook. After I've pulled through my first set of loops, I've got 5 loops on my hook. Now I can pull through all 5 loops on my hook, chain 1 to secure the cluster, and chain another to move to the next stitch to my left. and that's one petal down. We want to do this 7 more times. As you work your petals, try to keep a looser tension and pull each stitch upright nice and tall. I'll work through my set of petals slowly. I'll also provide some resources in my description that helped me learn this technique. Should I turn my work to face the right side up, you should see that each petal puffs outward a little. That's what we want to be seeing. To finish off my set of petals, I will slip stitch into the first chain 1 of the first petal made. I'll follow that up with a chain 1 to secure all of my petals and tie off my end. My daisy's tied off and completed. Now it's time to pick up either color of my squares to work around it. I'll go with red. I'll also be working into the chain spaces of our petals. I'm going to start with a standing double crochet again and work it into one of the chain spaces. Then I'll work 2 more double crochet into the same space. next space to my left, I'm going to work another 3 double crochet. I'll follow that up with a chain 1 and work another 3 double crochet into the same space. This will become one of the corners of my square. I'll alternate between these 2 stitches in every petal space to work my way around my daisy. I'll join the first stitch made of this round with a slip stitch, and that's our daisy granny square done. With our square completed, we've got the all-important task of weaving in our tail end so our hard work doesn't unravel. I've got my darning needle ready and I'll start to thread the ends through the eye of the needle. Now the wisdom that I try to follow is to work my tail ends beneath my stitches and in 3 different directions, so maybe left to right and then left again, to make sure that they're secure and to really discourage them from unraveling. I think what I have read is anything above 3 runs is probably overkill. However, something that I do include into my magic rings is a knot or 2. Just to really practice safety first, and I'll show you how I do that in a second. Another thing I'll add is what I'll demonstrate to you today is just one daisy granny square. However, we actually want to make 24 squares for my shoulder bag design. So my tip is to keep practicing and to actually weave in your ends after each square is completed. It feels a little less overwhelming that way rather than leaving it to the end after you've completed, say, a batch of squares. Repeat the same technique for all of your tail ends, and then you can trim off the ends after you've done your 3 passes. And now you have a gorgeous daisy granny square. Alright, that's all I've got for you in this tutorial. In the meantime, I'm going to work 24 of these squares in total, 12 in red and 12 in pink, and in my next tutorial I'll show you how they'll become the basis of a checkered bag. Till we meet again, happy stitching!